Okay, so let's start. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Nabiyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'du. Fassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Masa'ul khair. Okay, good afternoon or good evening, everyone. So this is our 8th session. Last meeting, we had discussed regarding rules on governing sharers, the Ashabul Furud. So as we know, there are 12 Quranic years, or there are 12 years mentioned in the Quran. So they have fixed shares. So we have also discussed the rules governing residuary years, Ashabul Mirat or Asaba. Asaba. So residuary years, there are 3 types of residuary years. Residuary in its own right. So these are the male agnates, male ears, purely connected to the dissident through male relationship, male relative. So then we also have residuary in another's right. So this happens when a siblings, male and female, son or daughter, brother or sister, inherit together, or son and son's daughter, they inherit together. So this is residuary or asaba bil ghair, residuary in another's right. Then we also have residuary together with another, or asaba ma'al ghair. So this happens when 2 female ears, usually they have the relationship as aunt and niece. So yeah, sister of the dissident inherit together with his daughter, or his or her daughter. So that's how residuary together with another. Then we have also discussed the distant kindred. So distant kindred inherit when there's no sharers and residuary heirs, when there's no ashabul furud and there's no ashabul mira. So they inherit, according to the majority of the scholars, they inherit the share of the relative, the supposed portion that an heir will get. So for example, their connection to the dissident is through his daughters, his or her daughter. So that distant kindred will inherit the share of the daughter. So these are, when we say distant kindred or dawul arham, these are relatives that don't have any fixed shares, nor they are amongst the residuary heirs. Then we also have discussed the rules of exclusion. This is very important. So there's a doctrine, being followed. So descendants are more preferred than ascendants, and those in the same and ascendants is more preferred than collaterals. Then those of the same on the same line, the nearest to the dissident will be preferred over the distant one. Then also full blood relative is more preferred than a consanguine relative. So you have to memorize the rules of exclusion. It is very important. And in our midterms examination, there will be questions regarding computation and the settlement of estate, distribution, and the settlement of estate. We have to really master the rules of exclusion so that you will not mistakenly give a portion to those who are excluded. Then we have also discussed the doctrine of increase, doctrine of increase or owl. So this happens when the total share, the total portion of the ears exceeds the denominator or the aslul mas'ala. So what happens is that the total numerator, the total portions will become the new aslul mas'ala, will become the new root of the problem. It will become the new denominator. So there are fixed there are cases, no? So it's actually some books have already mentioned all possible cases. Then the doctrine of reversion is when after the ears, after all the shares, there's no the doctrine of rad or the doctrine of reversion only happens when there's no asaba, when there's no ashabul mirath, there's no residuary ear, because residuary ears get all whatever is left after dividing, after giving everyone their portion, and if there's something left, the residuary ear can get it. But in the case of reversion, in the case of rad, there are no residuary ears. So after everyone got their share, there's still something left. So what we do there is that we proportionately divide it to the ears, with the exemption of the spouses. So if there's any spouse among the ears of the decedent, after the spouse, husband or wife, get their share, they are not entitled to receive rad, doctrine of reversion. I think the reporters last week have discussed this, and they have also given some examples. Now, we will be discussing, your report will be about succession from acknowledging person, and succession by illegitimate child, and succession between divorced persons. So any questions regarding our last meeting? Is there anything that is not clear before we proceed with today's topics? Okay, so everything seems clear. So who wants to volunteer to report on the said 3 topics?
Sir, baka pwedeng makabawi.
Alhamdulillah. At tafaddal, Sir Dimaro. Okay, so pwedeng ikaw na ang mambungad.
Alhamdulillah po. Teka lang po, sir. Mabilis lang.
Okay.
Visible po pa siya, sir?
Yes, yes. I-slideshow mo lang. Ayan, para full screen.
Alhamdulillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To Sir Prof. Professor Lukman, and to my dear classmates, Assalamu alaikum and good evening. To Sir Prof, thank you so much for your consideration after all of my absences because of motor accident. And I am sorry for that absences po. So now, as first presenter in today's session, I prepared a presentation for our topic. Now, the first slide shows the three important questions. First, what is the rule in succession from acknowledging a person? Second question is, what is the rule in succession from illegitimate child? And lastly, what is the rule in succession from the divorced couple? Now, the succession from acknowledging person it is also known in waladul lian or child in lian. It is a disavowed child where can inherit from his natural father after the latter acknowledged him personally in public that he is his own son or daughter, and retracted his charge of adultery to his wife. Meaning ito yung anak between the existence of the marriage, parang napag-isipan or na-accuse ng husband and the wife na nag-commit siya ng adultery pero hindi siya na patunayan. So ito yung result niya. He or she or the son or the daughter can only inherit from the father if the child was personally acknowledged by the father in public na ito siya ay kanyang in-acknowledge na kanyang anak. At the same time, yung accusation ng father or the husband to the wife or the father to the mother is binabawi niya yung pag-accuse niya doon sa wife niya in relation to the crime of adultery. Under Islamic law, it is called direct acknowledgement. In general, he can only inherit to his mother and relatives unless acknowledged by his natural father. Now, the rule when the father retracts his charge of adultery against the mother of the disavowed child is that there is still no change because their mutual rights of inheritance has already extinguished. The effect of the divorce is perpetual. Meaning between the child and the father, if the child will be acknowledged by the father in public and the father retracted his charge of adultery against the wife, then that's the time the child can inherit from the father. But in relation between the father and the mother or the husband and the wife, hindi na siya pwedeng mag-inherit. Like for example, the wife can no longer inherit from the former husband because the effect of the divorce is perpetual, meaning na-extinguish na yung obligation ng bawat isa sa kanila, that the marriage, the tie of their marriage was already cut or end. Next slide the next question is about the rule on the succession by illegitimate child. This is also about the walad ul zina. In general, there is no remedy. The grounds for inheritance for a child, there are special grounds for a person to inherit under Islamic law. the heir must have one form of nexus or the other with the deceased before he could have a right to succession. And the common and acceptable grounds for a child to inherit his or her father is through lawful marriage. But this one, parang malabo na siya maka-inherit because there is no or the father and the mother was or they were not legally married, at ang fruit nung action or yung ginawa nila is yung bata na yon, and therefore siya yung tinatawag na walad ul zina. It was reported that the Prophet Muhammad, the peace be upon him, have said that if a man commits fornication with a free woman or a slave woman, the child is the product of fornication. He neither inherits nor may anyone inherit from him. This is according to Tirmidhi or Tirmizi. This prophetic tradition has laid down the principle that an illegitimate child doesn't inherit from the father and the father does not inherit from the illegitimate child. Therefore, for a child to establish inheritance right, he or she must relate to the father by birth in a lawful marriage. This suggests that those child who were not born in lawful marriage have no right to inheritance from their biological father. However, they can do so to their mother, meaning the child or the fruit of the action between the father and the mother while they are not legally married, the child can inherit from the mother but not to the father, in the same manner that the father cannot inherit in the future to his illegitimate child. Now, second question is the rule in the succession between the divorced person. A husband, there are some cases into this instance or into this incident. Like for example, a husband repudiate, di tinalak or nagtalak yung husband sa asawa. He repudiate his wife, shall have the mutual rights of inheritance with the wife while observing Ida. And after expiration of Ida, their mutual rights of inheritance extinguished. Okay, because after the Ida, that's the time the talak becomes final. However, if the husband repudiate the wife while in condition of death, illness, kumbaga nagtalak siya, and that time is yung health niya is between life and death, 50-50. He cannot inherit from her to the wife. The husband cannot inherit from the wife, but the wife shall have the right to inherit from the husband even after in the expiration of Ida. That is the difference. If in the condition of death, illness, pag mamatay yung or ang para sa akin dito sir, pag ang maunang mamatay is yung wife, the husband cannot inherit from the wife. Even the husband is the one who repudiate. But if the husband dies, if the husband dies, then the wife can inherit to the husband even in the expiration of Ida. In case of a person who is in a state of death, illness, or marad ul maut, or repudiates or talak his wife. Example, this is only an example. Jamal died after the expiration of Ida. The code or the code substantially provides that the husband who, while in condition of death, illness, divorce his wife shall not inherit from her, but she shall have the right to succeed him even after the expiration of Ida. If after the expiration of Ida, the husband died, then the wife contracted a second marriage. This is only another case. What if the wife, after the expiration of Ida, the husband died, and then the wife contracted a second marriage. Now, in this case, she cannot inherit from the husband's estate due to her subsequent marriage, which she made their mutual rights of inheritance extinguished. Okay. Now, what if the wife died during the pendency of Ida? Could the surviving husband inherit from her? The answer is no. The husband cannot inherit from the wife due to the fact that he has pronounced a talak to his wife. Meaning, siya kasi yung nag-initiate to talak the wife. Now, the law provides that husband who divorces his wife while in the condition of death, illness, shall not inherit from her, but she shall have the right to succeed him even after the expiration of Ida. What if the wife divorced her husband by tafwid? O what if, ito naman, this case, what if yung babae ang mag-initiate, siya yung magtalak, mag-initiate ng divorce sa husband by divorce by tafwid. She was while the wife is in the state of death illness, and the wife died during her Ida. Now, under the law, the divorce by tafwid did not have any legal effect to the successional rights of her husband because it did not alter their mutual rights of inheritance during Ida period. The law provides only when the husband pronounced or divorced his wife in a state of illness and silent, the law is silent when the divorce is pronounced by the wife. So that is the different rulings or rules into different cases in terms of the rules of succession between the divorced persons. During Ida during Ida period, the mutual rights of inheritance of the spouse remains enforceable and an heir to each other. And in case a child born within 6 months from the death of the decedent, then the child can inherit to the father's estate, but of course the mother shall inform the heirs of her ex-husband. So yun ang rule na ang bata or the child born hindi siya matatanggalan ng rights doon to inherit to the father in case of succession to the divorced couple. But of course the mother must inform the family of the husband or the family of the father. Now, reflections. First, illegitimate child must be recognized in Islamic law since it was not his fault to be an illegitimate. That is my reflection po, sir, doon sa rule on the succession to the illegitimate child. Second reflection is divorce in Islam is a humankind activity that was disgusted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if it is the only way to avoid the sufferings and pain after exhausting all legal remedies for the two parties, then that's the time it was allowed. Hence, once the marriage tie was cut through divorce, the same with the obligations and responsibilities of each other were also end. Now, this is the important point or verse, the Quranic verse. The Quran said that those who intend to divorce their wives shall wait 4 months, or this is the cooling off. If they change their minds and reconcile, then God is forgiver and merciful. If they go through with the divorce, then God is hearer and knower. So Alhamdulillah, that ends my report. Thank you so much, sir, and to my dear classmates, and Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, Okay. I think I'll just comment later on. But regarding the report, no, it is much better if you include the articles from PD 1083. So the acknowledging person, inheritance, no rules of inheritance in PD 1083. So inshallah, I will discuss later kung may hindi mapag-discuss sa atin mga kaklase mo. Okay, so who will go next? And also the idda. Na idda period is 3 months.
3 months. Sorry. Yes po.
3 months. Thalatha quru. No, actually not totally months. No, if the woman is not, there are different periods of idda. So if a woman is not doesn't have any menstrual cycle anymore, so it's 3 months. But if she still has a menstrual cycle, so 3 cycles, 3 cycles. It's either the purity, state of purity, or the 3 cycles. Then those widow, for widows, 4 months and 10 days, and for those pregnant women until they give birth. Okay, so who will go next?
Thank you po, sir.
Afan.
Ustad.
So mauna siguro si Abdurrahim, no? Then next si Ma'am Saber. Sige, Abdurrahim.
Okay, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. So, good evening, classmates. So, I'll be presenting the 3 topics that were assigned to us. Yours truly, Abdul Rahim. So, I raised these 3 questions. What are the 5 cases of succession under PD 1083? Number 2, what are the views of 4 madahibs about the cases of succession? And the last one is, what is the rule in succession for conceived child? So, number 1, these are the cases, 5 cases of succession under PD 1083. So, article number 94, succession from acknowledging person. Article number 25, succession by illegitimate child. Article number 96, succession between divorced persons. Article number 97, succession by conceived child. And Article 98, succession by absentee. So along the way, we'll discuss each one of them. Right. So let's have first the article number 94, succession from acknowledging person. So under PD 1083, without prejudice to the order of succession of their heirs, mutual rights of inheritance shall obtain, first between the acknowledging father and the acknowledged child, and second between the kinsman acknowledged through another person and the acknowledger. So I think si Sir Dimaro na-discuss niya na to, so I will not go further to this one. Ayan. So next, we have the article number 95, succession by illegitimate child. Okay, so a child who was the cause of the mother's having been divorced by li'an or mutual curse shall have mutual rights of succession only with the mother and her relatives. So meron tayong dalawang klase ng case. So first, we have the illegitimate child, al-walad al-zina. So the 4 school of thoughts concur that an illegitimate child is like a child disowned by the father, and in all that which has been mentioned concerning the absence of mutual inheritance between the child and the father and the presence of such inheritance between the child and its mother. So ibig sabihin, walang magaganap na succession, no? Walang makukuhang mana ang bata sa kanyang ama, no, dahil siya nga ay bunga ng ah, hindi dumaan sa proseso na kung saan kailangan ang dalawang tao, ang couple ay sumailalim sa sanctity of marriage, no? Para maging legitimate child yung bata at maging rightful heir ng kanyang mana. So magkakaroon lang siya ng mana sa side ng kanyang nanay. Okay? Ayan. So the second case is a child is owned by the father or walad al-mula ana. So the four school of thought concur that there will be no mutual inheritance between the couple if the husband accuses the wife of adultery, and between the child born thereafter and its father and paternal relatives. Ayan. So walang mutual inheritance, no? Kapag halimbawa, inakusahan ng isang asawa ang kanyang asawang babae ng adultery. Okay? However, the child, its mother, and maternal relatives will inherit mutually. While inheriting from the child, its relatives through both parents and relatives through the mother enjoy the same status. Hence, his full and uterine brothers are considered equal in status. Ayan. So, sabi ng Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, regarding this case, no, illegitimate child, if a man commits fornication with a free woman or a slave woman, the child is the product of fornication. He neither inherits nor may anyone inherit from him. So it's very clear na walang makukuhang mana ang bata na bunga ng sina. Okay? At wala ring makukuhang mana, wala ring makukuhang mana ang sino man sa bata na bunga ng sina. Okay? Or ng fornication. Ito ay galing sa Sahih Tirmidhi. Okay? So, Article 95, succession between divorced persons. First, the husband who divorces his wife should have mutual rights of inheritance with her while she is observing her ida. Ibig sabihin ng ida is period of waiting. After the expiration of the ida, there shall be no mutual rights of succession between them. Okay? So, sinabi niya, wala daw magaganap na succession, no, after ma-expire ng ida. Okay? So, the husband, number 2, the husband who, while in a condition of death, illness, divorces his wife shall not inherit from her. Walang makukuhang mana ang asawang lalaki, okay? No? Kapag siya ay nasa kondisyon ng serious illness, okay, wala siyang makukuhang mana sa babae. But she shall have the right to succeed him even after the expiration of her ida. Okay? Ayan. So the view of Hanafi, Shafi'i, and Hanbali, marriage during illness is like marriage during health in respect of each spouse inheriting from the other, irrespective of whether the marriage is consummated or completed or not. So in this context, an ill person means one in his death illness. Okay? So sa view naman ni Imam Malik, if a marriage contract is concluded during the illness of either spouse, the marriage will be considered invalid except where it has been consummated or completed. Okay? Ayan. So the four school of thoughts concur that if an ill person divorces his wife and dies before the completion of the ida, the wife will inherit from him irrespective of the revocability or irrevocability of the divorce. So very clear na kapag ang lalaki ay namatay dahil sa sakit and during the period of ida, no, automatic ang asawang babae ay magkakaroon ng mana. Okay? They also concur that she will not inherit if he dies after the completion of her ida and before her marriage with another man. Okay? So, view of Maliki and Hanbali, she will inherit regardless of the length of time. Ayan. Dito sila nagkakaiba. Kay Hanafi naman and Shafi'i, after the completion of her ida, she becomes a stranger and it is not entitled to any share in the inheritance. Ayan. So kay Maliki and Hanbali, kahit gaano pa kahabang oras, sinabi niya, magkakaroon ng mana ang asawang babae. At kay Hanafi and Shafi'i naman, no, after makomplete ang ida, no, doon hindi na siya considered as heir or tagapagmana ng kanyang asawang or ex-husband. Ayan. This opinion is in accordance with the Islamic jurisprudential principles because the marital bond snaps on the completion of the ida. So binibigyan niya ng emphasis na kailangan, binibigyan niya ng emphasis or justify niya na dapat or kailangan ma-concur talaga yung ida, making her marriage with others permissible, and every woman whose marriage with other becomes permissible and does not inherit from her former husband. The principle cannot be departed from except on the presence of a Quranic verse or a confirmed tradition. So it also varies, no? Depende sa ating nakagawiang tradisyon o kaya naman sa verses ng Quran. Ayan. So Article 97, succession by conceived child. A child conceived at the time of the death of the decedent shall be considered an heir provided it will be born later in accordance with Article 10. Its corresponding share shall be reserved before the estate is distributed. So Article 10, personality how acquired. Birth determines personality, but the conceived child should be considered born for all purposes that are favorable to it, provided it be born alive. However, briefly, at the time it is completely delivered from the mother's womb. So ang sabi dito, kapag ang isang bata ay hindi pa nailalabas ng kanyang ina or nasa sinapupunan pa lang niya, lahat ng kanyang mana, lahat ng yung portion ng kanyang mana ay hindi dapat maipamigay. Kumbaga kailangan muna itong i-reserba. Okay, maibibigay lang ito pag yung bata ay nailuwal na ng kanyang nanay. Ayan. So, the general rule is that unborn child is only eligible to inherit if he is born alive. If the child is born alive but dies subsequently, then shares are distributed among her heirs. Ayan. So inheritance rights for the fetus are subject to two conditions. The first condition is the fetus is already present in its mother's womb at the time of the death of the benefactor. And second condition is the fetus is born alive even for a few seconds. Ayan. Kahit ilang segundo lang daw siyang nabuhay after niya na ipanganak, he is still considered a legitimate heir or rightful heir. If a person dies while his wife is pregnant, okay, so it refers to the father. The distribution will be postponed, if possible, till childbirth. Otherwise, a share will be withheld for the child. The schools differ regarding the share to be withheld. Kumbaga parang ino-hold muna.
Yes, continue.
Okay. So, ang view ng hanapi